What's up, YouTube? This is Delio coming to you with another video, and in this video, we're going to talk about the Roland Integra. Is it useful in 2024? We're going to talk about that in this video, but before we do that, I want to let you know I have a new loop kit out. It's based on 90s R&B, based on Bobby Brown, and it's on my website right now, and if you want a discount on this new loop product, just go to my links in the description below, sign up on my email list, and I'll send you a code to get 20% off the price. All right, let's dive into it. All right, so let's talk about it. Why did I get the Roland Integra-7? So I wanted this device for a long time. It was sort of kind of a mystery to me. As I've done my research over the years on equipment and gear, one thing that kind of rung out truly and was kind of like a holy grail of sound modules was this device. This device has a lot of the expansions that came from a long line of sound modules. So in the 90s, Roland had these sound modules because a lot of keyboards couldn't contain sounds. You know, back in the day, you had your MIDI sequencer, you had your keyboard, which had some sounds in it. Sometimes they were multi-timbral, sometimes they were not. And then you had your sound modules, okay? So you had to connect all this stuff together to get higher quality sounds, which has now all been digitized and plugins in the computer. But because I came from, as a child, from a different era of doing music where everything was done in the box, I was exposed to sound modules, but at the time I didn't have the resources to get my own. Fast forward, I've always wanted to experiment with it, and every time I tried it out, I found it out in the wild, which was very rare. It sounded amazing. There's a lot of amazing sounding patches that are inside of this device right here, the Integra-7. So I wanted to be exposed or have a little bit of piece of that legacy, just like how the MPC has sort of a legacy to it of being a hardware-based thing. The sound module has a legacy. Like, this basically was Contact before Contact was Contact, this type of thing. So I wanted to be able to hybridize my system, not be so dependent on plugins, even though it is more long-winded to get this device and record it. However, the sound quality result of it is amazing. And actually, browsing sounds is just, and that's something we've lost with browsing sounds on the computer because of the ROM that is stored on these. And if you notice in the previous video where I was talking about the difference between RAM and ROM, because a lot of these sounds, or all the sounds, are in ROM on this. All you gotta do is just turn that knob one time, boom, you got the sound. Not click a patch on a plugin and then watch it load, and then it's just instant, boom, boom, boom. Just like any hardware keyboard, when you pull up that preset, you got it right then and there. I really like that speed. That's something we've lost along the way, doing everything inside the box because everything is on RAM. There's no dedicated ROM for your samples. And it's not really conducive to have dedicated ROM for your samples these days because of how interchangeable and how vast these sound libraries are. And you would have to have a whole lot of ROM to store these sounds. And then that's the thing, once you have them stored on there, it's crystallized. So the sounds are really good. They're useful. You have a lot of classic Roland sounds that were on the 1080, sounds that were on the 5080. Very classic. Like, if you heard me play it on, you'd be like, oh, I recognize the sound. I heard that somewhere. So a lot of great classic sounds on there. And one thing I like about this is that it has XLR outputs on the back. So the XLR outputs on the back, I got them routed to my audio interface here. And with that, I'm able to get a very loud, without distorted sound. It was just something different that I had with that because, as you know, in previous videos, if you've been on my channel for a long time, I've talked about how when you wanted to sequence with a USB connection to your computer, and in my case, one of the problems I had with my computer is that when I try to hook up something over USB, I'll get a computer hum or computer noise, which is bad. You don't want that. So what I did was I was like, okay, I've done a lot of different things to alleviate that problem. But one of the problems I had was when I connected USB, I got that hum. So I was like, okay, let me try something. Let's go XLR. Let's skip the 1/4-inch outputs on the back. Let's go XLR. Hook that in there. Wire it up to the system and see what that does. And the result was, wow, okay, this thing is 10 times louder. Well, I'm exaggerating, but it is louder. All ground noises are gone. I hooked up the USB cable. I was like, okay, this is going to make it buzz. I plugged the USB cable in. No buzz. No buzz. And I was like curious, and this is a little side tangent, but so I had that same issue with my Behringer Model D Whereas I had to kind of turn the volume down because I always had that small little hum. So I said, well, why don't I like just get a DI box? A little extreme, but I did that. I got the DI box. I hooked it up to the audio interface, right? So I got a 1/4-inch cable going to a DI box that has ground lifting on it. Now I'm going XLR into the thing. Plug the USB cable back in. No hum, no buzz whatsoever. I don't know if I toggled the ground lift on the DI box or not, but so it's basically I got to get it a DI box because I just want to get the cleanest sound possible. Because with my system, and this may plague yours as well, sometimes you're going to get a buzz or hum with it. So back to the device. It has some really good sound data like you heard it a million times because it does have sounds from older sound modules. However, you can use that to your advantage when you want that type of sound. If you want that more of a classic sound, which they don't really, we have ways of doing it now, but because Roland was such a dominant force in the earlier times, when you hear Roland product, you hear that sound. It's like, okay, I remember that sound. I liked how that sounded. So that was pretty cool. And honestly, for me, it's like a secret sauce. Like, it's cool to have Contact, Omnisphere, all that stuff. But this is kind of like a hardware version of all that. And it's just such a nice, fun product to work with. Based off my experience, I was able to kind of really navigate into the settings. And when I load the expansion cards and hear what they have and hear some of those strings, I'm like, wow, those strings actually sound pretty doggone good. Those pianos sound actually very reputable today. You know, I do believe that like Keyscape and other things sound amazing and they sound great, but this is nothing to sneeze at just because of how old it is. But I mean, you know how it is with companies and products from back in the day. It seems like older products or older cars, just older things from back in the day seem to be built with so much more quality, and they were built to last, and they were built to. And I'm just going to call out Akai right now, right? So, you know, these cases of these MPC Lives, you know, they're plastic now, but back in the 2000 days, them things were tanks, right? So there's sort of a sense of there's more quality to put in the product, a little bit more love put into the product, but you do pay for that love. I don't think today's MPCs are as expensive today as they were back then compared to what they were back then. But the trade-off is that, you know, we're dealing with plastic cases. Still a good product, but just a different attention to quality and how it lasts and things of that nature. You know, with this MPC Key 61, I try to not move this thing anywhere, especially if I don't have a hard case for it. I'm just not going to be moving that thing around. That's not happening. So, but overall, this has been a fun product to use. It's multi-timbral, takes 16 channels. The audio quality is great. It does have a little bit of a dated sound on certain things, but then other things sound really great and very usable and all that good stuff. And I really do like the product. So I think it's definitely useful in 2024, but you have to have a system in place to make sure that you're able to track it very quickly and record it very cleanly, and also make sure you're able to sequence it the way that you need to. In my case, I have it set up so that I can sample it directly into the Akai MPC or track with it and sequence with it in Studio One. I have both of those situations set up with a very clean audio chain on there. It's very loud, very crisp, very pleasing to the ear, and I like it. So yeah, I definitely think it's useful in 2024. If you're interested in getting one yourself, you can check my Zounds link in the description below. If you want one yourself, give me some feedback. If you want me to play some sounds and demo it, let me know. I'd love to hear that. That'd be a great idea for another video. I just want some feedback from you, the viewers. So I'm Delio. You're watching DelioT2K.com. Visit my YouTube channel to check out my loot packs, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys later. Peace out. We're out of here.